Welcome to the We Forge On podcast, a show dedicated to men and the silent struggles we face day to day. From tips to deep conversations, we strive to give you a voice in a world that wants to keep you silent. I am your host, Soaring, and today I'm joined by HangryPixels, our internet dad. So let's cut to the intro, and then we'll have a chat about social media, streaming, and the fear and stress that's associated with it. Welcome back. So, social media, it's a real doozy.
It is, and it gets so overwhelming.
Yeah, especially when you're constantly thinking about the algorithm. You want your stuff to be seen, but as soon as you post it, it just feels like you just threw it out into the ether and there was no one else to retrieve it.
Oh yeah, I've come up with that's one of the areas that I really fall short in. I don't do much of the social media because for me it's a lot to keep on top of.
Yeah.
Where I'm the most active is Twitter. And I'll think to myself, oh, I'm going to post this. I think it's hysterical. And you put it out there like 24 hours. I'm like, and you're like, oh, man.
Yeah.
I thought I had a good one.
Yeah. I don't know. The thing that I've been facing recently is like I was on a steady climb up to 620 followers. And I don't know what happened, but I'm just like gradually like stepping back. I think last I checked, a couple days ago, I was at like 610. Now I'm at like 604. I'm like, I don't know what I did. Like, I'm still posting. I guess maybe it's probably just because it's mostly focused on the podcast versus like my own content that I was doing, like art and stuff.
Right.
I don't know.
It's a weird thing. I remember last year, maybe it was 2 years. Time flies. I have no idea. But at one point in time in my Twitter, I hit 666 followers.
Ooh.
So I decided to play Outlast, kind of related. Now I think I'm hanging at like 400 something, 500 something. So it's like, I don't know.
Nope.
And it's nothing you can control either. It's like, it might be anything from someone wanting to clean out, their followers. They want to like, I no longer follow these people. I'm going to unfollow them for whatever reason.
Well, I also know that like Elon Musk has posted a couple times saying that they're gradually getting rid of the bot accounts.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Maybe that could be it. I have no idea.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can't take it to heart. It's nothing you can control.
Yeah.
I'm sure people aren't doing it maliciously. Like, God, I hate this guy.
I don't like guys with H's in their names.
Yeah, exactly. Screw him.
But so I have a couple questions for social media, and I have a couple questions for streaming specifically. Really?
Ooh, I lost you.
Really? Again?
Oh no.
Yeah. So this happened when I was streaming with Cal Joker. So I have an iPhone. So I have the Elgato app on my phone, and I'm like, okay. Still not showing. What the hell?
And this is one of the things about.
Yeah.
Just roll with the punches. If things happen, just roll with it.
Nope. I am connected. Don't give me this shit. Everything is just so gosh darn fickle.
It is.
Man, at this point, I'd rather just switch to being a VTuber. Like, screw this. Okay, well, I'm not going to mess around with it too much, so we're just going to keep on going.
Right.
I'm here, just not here.
You're in.
I'm here in the ether,
form.
And
yes.
For the podcast, you're just going to see a big old square, and it's going to have a little tiny. Maybe I might edit to where it just shows a better picture of my face. Who knows? Just
put in one of your art pictures in there of yourself.
Yeah, I'm sure I could probably do something like that. All right, let me pull up my questions again. Okay, so I do have some questions for social media, and I have some questions for streaming. Just because we started with social media, it's just easier just to go through that. What was this is not on my list, but what was your first start with social media?
MySpace. um,
Oh, I miss
Years
it.
and years and years ago. Uh, It was pretty much me and my wife started one, and I think we were like friends with each other, and that was it. I didn't not really do anything with it. But um, when I started streaming, I started my Twitch account and Twitter account pretty much the same. I kicked them off both at the same time because I figured it would be a nice compliment to my Twitch
Yeah.
having a Twitch.
I think my first experience would have to be MySpace as well. So I'm trying to remember when it came out. I was very much a teenager when it was out. I think I was just getting into high school, or maybe I was still in middle school. No, I would definitely have to be in high school because we, let's see, we were living with my grandma. So I think I was like junior-ish year. Yeah, I remember fine tuning the crap out of my like all the things.
Oh yeah, I got so addicted to like I had music going when it got into my MySpace. I had the animated backgrounds and everything. Like this is awesome.
Yeah, that was
So,
my first example of editing with HTML.
yeah,
I mean, I don't do anything with it now, but it was fun. I
yeah.
had all the things. Like, I remember it was a constant battle of who was in your top 8.
Oh, see, I didn't even like it was a fight for Darcy to get me to even start it because I'm like, why? Yeah, I didn't really understand
There we
social
go.
media.
I'm back. I had to close out the app, but
Oh,
yeah. So I remember editing with HTML, having all the fun things, but for sure the top 8 was the big thing. Because if it essentially ruined friendships. Like if you put someone out of your top 8, they're like, I thought we were friends, and I'm like, dude, I'm trying to hook up with this girl. Like I'm trying to get me a girlfriend. So
you don't understand.
I put her in my top 8, thinking, oh yeah, we have a connection,
Yeah.
and it was stupid, but
Well, it was like back in the day when you took someone off a speed dial. It's like, what? I'm not in your top 10 speed
yeah.
dial? What'd I do?
And
How did I hurt
then
you?
so after MySpace, there was a couple other ones that were like similar to MySpace at that time, but then Facebook came out, and you could hear about it
Yeah.
at school. They're like, "Oh, there's this new social media coming out. Can't wait for them to uh, let everyone else be on it." Because at the time when it first came out, it was only limited
Yeah.
to college kids. I believe Harvard college kids first, but then the graduates started rolling it out. And I remember someone sent me a link, and then I built my profile, and I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." And I remember I had a crappy ass phone. Yeah, like this was before like smartphones really took over. Like
Yep.
iPhones were around at this point, but like they were still like the 3G stage.
Hmm.
Pictures were still pretty crappy. But I remember I would use my mom's camera, take a picture of myself, then upload it to the computer so then I could post it to my Facebook. And for editing Soaring, you can put up one of my most liked pictures up here. This is gonna sound so vain, but my most liked picture I ever had was me with the camera like up here pointing down at me. I didn't have my shirt on, uh, realizing after the fact that my I was I just got done with the gym, so I was putting on a new pair of pants. So they were still open, so you could see my
Oh,
boxers.
oh,
And this was 6-pack Soaring. I think I had 800 some likes on that picture. Mind you, at
damn.
the time, I only had like 100 friends,
Yeah.
and so I was like,
So
man, this picture got around. And then of course school girls that I was friends with that, not girlfriends, they're like, come on, Soaring, button your pants. My mom's on this site.
Where you were like, I respectfully decline.
I was like, this is peak Soaring. I am not going to get rid of this. And I spent forever trying to chase that. And it never happened.
No, and it's funny because I forgot all about Facebook somehow. I don't do anything on Facebook like at all anymore.
I check it once a week only because my mom is still on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I jump in because most of my family's on Facebook Messenger. Is it still Facebook Messenger or is it just Messenger now? I don't even know.
I think I think they just call it Messenger, and I know if you open it up, it'll say Messenger by Meta.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot it. I even forgot that.
But yeah, I started Twitter in 2012. All I did with Twitter was I just shit posted about things I didn't like that the government was doing.
and Twitter hasn't changed for many people.
Yeah. I will say when I first started Twitter, I was a quote unquote conservative.
Yeah.
Well, mostly because that's how I was raised, because that was their beliefs. They had core beliefs that they wanted to instill in us, and I carried them out. And now, as a 33-year-old, I'm very much different. I can't stand the Republican Party, at least a form of it now.
I mean, without delving too much into politics, both parties should just be ashamed of themselves at this point.
Yeah, so, they both have their merits, but they both also have their overflowing closet of skeletons.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So how has social media impacted your ability to connect with others in a meaningful way?
I mean, as far as Twitter goes, there are a lot of people that I've found on Twitter where they just randomly post something, and I see them post multiple times, and I enjoy them, so I'll leave them a follow, and before you know it, like, hey, oh, they have a Twitch channel too. Maybe I'll check out and hang out in their Twitch channel. And it went from like just seeing a couple of their posts, finding them humorous, that following their Twitter account, which led me to their Twitch page, and then becoming friends with them in their community. So yeah, I mean, you never know what connections you're going to make. And that's kind of why I try and post as much as I can, because you never know. You never know what post someone's going to see, and maybe, oh, hey, this guy's awesome. Maybe I'll connect with him somehow.
Yeah, I think it was around. So I started Twitter in 2012, and then I dropped off completely. I don't think I posted anything. I think mostly it was just like to get my news relatively quickly. But then when shortly before the pandemic started, like right at the end of 2019, going into 2020 is when I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll it in the back of my mind, I knew I wanted to build a PC. Then then for my justification for having the PC, because I couldn't just do it for graphics alone.
Right.
I justified that I would start streaming. Maybe I could, make a little bit of money on that, build a community. I don't think I was very successful in it. The whole streaming thing very dropped off relatively quickly, mostly because of burnout and just dealing with all the things that come with it, like trying to corral the kids to kind of go off into the corners so that I can do my thing without a bunch of distractions. But then right about 2019 into 2020 is when I started to post positivity on Twitter, right around the time that I started streaming. And it led to some meaningful connections. A Harris Heller tweet led to me finding Raptor. He posted a question, and then I responded, and then I saw they had a Twitch, and so I watched him one night. And this was before he had a camera. This was him playing Street Fighter with a friend of his, and yeah, it was just fun. Like,
Yeah.
we were still in lockdown, so like I put my headphones on. I'm watching at night till like God knows what time. I didn't have to go to work the next day because I was on quarantine. Because through the work that I was at the time, from March to May, I essentially was off work, but I still got paid. I got paid like 2/3 of my paycheck, which was great. It was a perfect time to like reconnect with kids. Also try and pursue this whole Twitch thing. But led to a lot of my big relationships with some of the people that I routinely still talk to today. So Raptor being one of them.
Right.
I got connected with the people that he was with. I also found Wizard of Time.
Yep.
And then that's where I found you, was through that community. But then I aligned myself with the wrong people, and that's how I got blocked by Wizard of Time. Still to this day, I'm still blocked by him.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, it's fine. Like I'll pop in a stream every now and then, but like I can't see anything for Twitter, and I hope him the best. And there were some couple other groups here and there that I popped in with. I don't remember how I found Alabama Batman, but he's the one that led me to Tier, and then his community, which led to Cal and Joker, who's been on the podcast. Also, Deke, when I do get him on, he's also part of that community too. So, like, Twitter has been the catalyst for me coming into all these different relationships that led to the podcast eventually happening.
Yeah.
So it's definitely helped a lot in relationships, and I think I feel a lot closer to some of the people I've been on Twitter than I've ever been with just people just coming into my life, because of association or location.
Absolutely. Like, it's really funny because whenever I talk about the whole Twitch thing and Twitter with my parents, they don't get it. They're like, those people may not even be real. You don't know. But it's like, I'm closer to almost everyone in my community. I consider them genuine friends, even though I've never met any of them. Than most of I maybe communicate with like 2 or 3 of my friends from my high school days, but it's a genuine connection and a genuine friendship, even though there are a lot of people have never met face to face. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I think people underestimate like how tight knit you could be with people on the internet, and a lot of people like in your real life, you're like your parents or coworkers or whatever, they'll, like you said, oh well, those can't be genuine friends. You've never met them. Blah blah blah. I was like, well, like some of the most meaningful conversations I've had on this podcast are with people I have never met in real life. I've met through a camera. Yeah, that's definitely a boomer Zennial mindset. Because
I think I'm right at the cusp of that.
Yeah.
Like, I understand the value of having online friends. Even though I didn't grow up knowing computers or the internet really didn't become a thing in my life until maybe I was around early 20s. Maybe 21, 22.
Yeah.
Somewhere around
The
there.
internet really started kicking off in the 90s. Because it was, I know, we lived on an Air Force base, let's see, 90 to at least 1995. And like we had the internet, but when we talked to other people, they had no idea what we were talking about.
Yeah.
It was still in an infancy. Like military people had access to it, and a couple
they get all the good stuff first.
Yeah, well, and couple of tech groups had access to it, but like you didn't see like a full on rollout to every other people until like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we also have to remember that boomers, like in some Zennials, like most of their friendships came from church or work.
See that. I can see that.
Well, because that was, for them, that was
That was it.
their meeting circle. That was how you,
Mhm.
in some cases that's also like, well, and school too, but like that was where the majority of the people were. That's how they connected, and then that's how friendships were born. So
Mhm.
to throw them this wrench that you can just be friends with just anybody and never have to see them in real life is very it doesn't appeal
Yeah.
to them because it's not, to them it doesn't feel genuine.
Well, I know growing up, all of our neighbors, we all knew everybody. Um, we were all friends with our neighbors. So that's where, my parents, got their sense of community. They didn't have the internet. They barely understood when the NES came out. They're like, what is this thing, and why do you like it so much?
Yeah. So what role does social media algorithms play in shaping our perspectives and opinions?
Oh, that is a bad question to ask me because I don't follow the algorithms at all. But um, if you're into data and you can read the data and um, kind of decipher the trends and what's going on and what's popular now, and you can hone in on that, you can really focus any type of social media to greatly work in your favor. It's just I don't have the time to do that. I'll be perfectly honest. It's not one of my core priorities in social media, and it's gonna sound weird as like a content creator who's kind of hoping for growth in their channel. You would think that like, oh, you should be on top of the data. You should, find out, how your tweets did. Where the viewers are, where this is, and I'm like, and this is me being honest. This is me being
Yeah.
perfectly honest.
I think for me, I get in trouble where I only focus on the numbers.
Yeah, that can get a
Um,
lot of people in trouble because if you have, one either whatever Twitter post, Twitch episode, whatever that's a really well, and the next one is like down here,
yeah.
you're gonna like, well, damn it, what happened? And it's like, and that's where you can explore the data. Well, what did this one have that this one didn't? What did I do here? And if you can replicate that, I mean, you can work on it going forward, but that would be, reviewing the data, analyzing the data, picking things apart, and it's just not something that's in me. And that's probably not the answer that everyone viewing wants to hear, but I'll be honest, it's me. I can't,
Well, I think when looking at the social media algorithm, yeah, you also have to remember that it plays differently on different platforms. So TikTok, their algorithm is mostly like dependent on what you like on your For You page. So let's
Mhm.
say, for instance, like not even counting followers, you're just going through the For You page. The first 10 videos on a fresh account are going to be like the highest trend items that are on the platform currently. And if you like any one of those first 10, then it's going to cycle through content of either from those people or people that are like that. And it's just going to keep cycling. So
Right.
for you, for instance, you might have coffee, bacon, inspirational quotes, I don't know, maybe like retro gaming and a couple other stuff. And it's just going to keep cycling through that. They might throw in something new to say, oh, well, if you like this. And then you have me who likes D&D, role play,
Mm.
although that one gets in trouble because people use role play tag
It
and
can,
it ends
yeah.
up to be the wrong role play that I actually want to see. And then you have Pokemon, and then just random other things. And then they might, oh, well, we saw early on when you first started TikTok that you liked this thirst trap. So we're going to go ahead and cycle in another thirst trap because we think you might like it. and then it just keeps recycling all the things that I've liked. So TikTok is, the algorithm is based on what you like. And
Okay. All right.
so, and then that's going to, factor into other people. You're going to have a lot of, mishmash, a lot of overlapping of different groups.
Yeah.
And so as far as being a content creator on that, I have no idea.
I I think I have a TikTok. I've never
Yeah.
done anything with it. Because
Mostly for me, I just send funny ones to my wife, and then I just
yeah.
I just scroll through it on, like, I have like a 5 minute break. I literally set a 5 minute timer on my phone. Like, this is how much I can spend, and then I just start scrolling through TikTok, just looking at things that are
Yeah.
funny. Twitter's algorithm is completely different. I have no idea what makes a tweet or not. It's all over the place. I can go in the data. I could probably figure something out as far as my content's concerned. I
Mhm.
just don't care. But I think what happens is that when you post on social media, we have this expectation that if we think something is really good, that the world is going to perceive it as that as well. And when it
Yeah.
doesn't align, like our expectations versus the reality, when they don't align, that's when we start to doubt ourselves. I have art that does relatively okay depending on the
Yeah.
certain hashtags I use for it. Um, I have one picture that got 1,000 likes, but then I have another one, same category. It's Pokemon, same category, but it's a different Pokemon. 2 likes, 3 likes, 4 likes. Didn't pop off like the last one.
Yeah.
So, like, I have this expectation, and then my expectation starts to get warped based on previous successes, and then it gets tainted by previous failures. So then it kind of just muddies the water all over the place.
Yeah. And that could even just come down to something like more people liked the original Pokemon than the the second one.
Yeah.
It's not like it could just be that simple.
And
Um,
yeah, it's a lot of factors to figure out.
yeah.
If I
And
if I post this tweet right now, Fred George is going to be on the toilet and he's going to see it and he's going to like it.
and like and that's the other thing too. You got people like, oh well, the peak time to post on Twitter is Mondays, Tuesdays at like 3 p.m. Okay, I mean,
Yeah.
sure. If you're gonna really, really dive into it, you can get that specific, and I'm sure for some people it works out. But if you think how many tweets are being thrown around on that platform, your one tweet has how much likelihood of getting seen by how many people?
Yeah.
And that's something you have to bear in mind. It's a very, very popular platform. One person in a pool of how many millions of people.
Yeah.
So if you do have a tweet that you think has you have an expectation of doing really well, and it just kind of maybe gets 2, 3 views or likes or whatever the hell they are,
Yeah.
um, don't don't let it get to you. Don't think like, oh well, damn, I'm a failure. It's hard not to, but it's you're competing with how many other people. It is
Yeah.
what it is. Just keep persistent. There's a lot of luck involved, and just keep going.
Yeah. I think as far as my approach is, I I don't know. I think I keep TikTok as more of like a viewer experience for myself.
Hmm.
I could make TikToks. I'm sure there's plenty of topics I could talk about. I could pivot towards the podcast. I could probably edit the crap out of each episode for
Yeah.
clips, but I also have to take into consideration that I also have a wife, 2 kids, a full time job. I don't
Hmm.
have the time to do that. So I might just do YouTube Shorts. I might just pick a topic and I might just like riff about it. Um, I have a conversation here soon with a good friend that I literally just, their whole thing is that they help people with content creation and they try to create like a content strategy,
Hmm.
and they've helped a couple other people. And I'm like, just weird request, but can you help me come up with a content strategy? And they're like, absolutely. Just let me know when you're ready to talk and we'll talk. Because they want success for everybody. And
Yeah.
they've been loving the podcast so far. They've helped me critique
Oh,
it.
great.
I think one episode, that intro was too loud. And so like I went in and was like, all right, I'm gonna from now on the level for the intro is gonna be at this level, so that way it's not
Yeah.
blowing out eardrums. Um,
Consistency. Yeah.
yeah, but like as far as content's considered, this podcast gets recorded. I edit it. I then schedule it for whichever Friday, 7:30 a.m. That's when it comes out every single week. And the reason, and people are like, well, there's other times you could set it for. No, I set it for 7:30. That way, by
Yep.
the time I get to work, if there's people that are going to watch it, they're going to watch it early on because they get the notification. But then as soon as it hits 8 o'clock, I can then tweet about it with the link and have that all ready to go. And then I can tweet about it, post it in whatever Discords just before I even start work. Because when I get to
Right.
work, my work doesn't start till 8. I come inside, I grab my route sheet while I'm penciling in what I need for my particular route. My other hand, I'm tweeting. And, you know, that for me, that's a good workflow because it's
Yeah.
not taken away from my work because I'm preparing what I need for the day. So I'm just going through tickets, figuring out what all I need. And, I mean, they say, you know, whatever you got to do, you got to do.
Yeah. And it's the thing about being consistent. If you're going to do 7:30 in the morning every Friday, people are going to come to realize that, oh, 7:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
new We4 John. So I mean, you can't like do a Friday this one day, Tuesday another day, maybe Saturday night another day, because you got to stay a little bit consistent with that.
Yeah.
It might not be the ideal time to post something, but who cares? If you're consistent, people know when and where to find you.
Yeah, when the year started, that was one of the big things I wanted to do was be consistent. And I know I
Yeah.
talked about it with Margu. I'm like, people, when you become consistent, people start to carve out that time of their day to see
Mhm.
your content. Or, you know, some like I know there's 3 people that have said that I'm on their watch later list. Like as soon as a new episode goes
Okay.
on there, boom, they add it to watch later and they watch it as soon as they get home from work.
Great.
So like it's great. I know changing the titles. I used to have We For John episode dash and then the topic, but now I switched it to it's the episode, like what we talk about in the episode dash,
Mhm.
and then it's We For John whatever episode. I keep the thumbnails relatively clear, legible. I don't even put the title in it. I just do the We For John logo,
Mhm.
episode, whatever. If there's a special guest, I rate the special guest. So if it's your first appearance, I'll have your name on there. But if it's not, I just have your chibi character. But I don't know. It's been doing good. Margie's
Yeah.
episode just passed 40 views in less than 2 days.
Oh yeah, no, that's great.
I think Hunter's episode did the same thing. Cal's episode, I don't I I don't know. His was kind of a blunder. His didn't follow the normal trend. So I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
Um
And that's going back to data. You can analyze, well, what made that one different?
yeah,
Like,
but
what happened on that one?
being consistent has been the biggest thing for me. I also have it
Mhm.
set to like I'll tweet on Twitter, but I don't get notifications for people that tweet on Twitter.
No, I
I
don't.
only get notifications for replies because if I have it set to likes, then my phone's just gonna go bing, 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 bing. Because I tweet, I'll respond to a lot of things throughout the day, it just
Mhm.
so I have time for it. But I only want notifications if someone replies to me, so then I can make sure I reply back.
Yeah,
Um,
that's one thing I did kind of early on. Like, Twitter notifications, all the notifications for social media, because every time I hear my phone go off, I well, first of all, I immediately want to see what it is.
yeah,
Second of all, if I'm not able to immediately see what it is, I feel the stress rising because I gotta find out why my phone went off. Um, so I can't have all those notifications going off for like Twitter, Twitch, Discord, YouTube, God, Instagram, whatever. I, it's
yeah.
I can't deal with that in my life.
It's a lot to take in
Yeah,
because if all you're doing is just paying attention to the notifications that come in onto your phone, then that's all you're gonna do.
yeah,
You're gonna end up sucking hours of your day responding to pixels on a screen.
yep.
Um, that's something I'm trying to dial back on. Is just not spending so much time on Twitter as a whole. Like, I don't know. There's just a lot of doom scrolling that comes involved with it. People are talking about, oh, the end of Twitter, blah blah blah, and then you have all these different dramas that are appearing, both with, like uh, the tech community, the D&D community, all these communities, how they're all dramas.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I don't have enough time to, like, I don't have enough emotional bandwidth to handle one dramatic situation. I definitely can't handle 5 or 6. So,
or just the overall drama.
So
Twitter as a whole. Yeah, I'm at the point in my life where I'm like, I I have no tolerance, no time in my life for like any type of drama that doesn't involve like obviously like family or close friends or anything like that. But I can't deal with it, and I try and stay as far away from it as possible.
yeah. So before we get into the next question, I just want to let you know that this episode of the We Forge On podcast is brought to you by our merch store. Until the end of March, all shirts will be about $20. All hoodies will be right at $30. And here soon, probably in April, we'll be launching our membership side of things. If you become a member of the We Forge On merch store, you'll get a permanent 5% off all your orders. And you might even get a shout out in the credits starting in April. I'll be adding credits for people that have bought merch within the last month, as well as people that are part of the membership. We might even do a couple of videos on there too, but I'll do a poll on Twitter to see what you guys want to see there. But the main shirt I want to highlight is our self-care t-shirt. We talk about a lot of tips of what we can do to help with your mental health and self-care as a whole. And so I came up with a shirt of our top 4 tips. And if you scan the QR code down in the bottom, you'll be directed right to the YouTube channel, which I think is kind of fun.
I absolutely love that design.
Yeah, so if you buy the shirt and you're out and about and someone's like, "What is that about?" You can say, "Well, you can scan right here," and it'll go
Scan me.
Scan me, and it'll go right to the YouTube channel. It's a lot of fun. They have both T-shirt and hoodie, and I'm working on more designs. But for right now, those are the ones I want to highlight. So editing Soaring, definitely put up a picture or two at this moment. But yeah.
Future Soaring, please do this.
Yep. Future Soaring. I'm going to push it all on Future Soaring, which most likely I'll be editing on like Tuesday or something. But so the last thing is like, what are tips that you recommend for dealing with social media? If you don't have any off the top of your head, I can go first.
Man, don't get sucked into it. Don't let it rule your life. Don't like we were just talking about. There are so many social media platforms, and if you spend just all your time on it, you're just going to get dragged down into like just never looking away from your phone. It's like take breaks throughout the day. What I like to do sometimes is maybe take 10 minutes, and I'm going to dedicate this time to Twitter. I'm going to follow up on any posts that I'm in, or if someone direct messages me, just block a certain amount of time and focus on that. You can do 10 minutes for Twitter. You can do another 10 minutes for whatever other platforms you might be on. And like you said, like on YouTube, if you have someone that you follow that just went live, if you don't have the time, you don't have to watch it right then and there. You can set it to watch later, and then when you do have a free moment, you can watch the video. Watch the video there.
Or another thing is like some people, you can just click on the video, let it play a little bit, and then just close out of it, and then it'll appear in your history. I use that feature a lot when I'm watching YouTube and I accidentally fall asleep, so then I can look at the last 5 videos that I missed.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I watched. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think for me, tips would be it's so easy to just pick up your phone as soon as you get up in the morning and just scroll, and then you realize, crap, I could have been getting ready for work, but instead I spent like 10-20 minutes on Twitter or whatever social media is your fancy. So I recommend don't even get on your phone in the morning. Set a dedicated time for that. If you
Hmm.
have a commute to work and you know you get to work 10 minutes early, then use that time to be on it. But the first thing in the morning, don't be on Twitter. Don't be on any social media. Focus on what you got to focus on, and then you can do it later. Um, s- Schedule time for
Hmm.
social media versus just doing it in your free time, because you'll find out that if you just do it in your free time, it takes up all your time.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. Yeah.
and that's unfortunately the nature of social media as a whole, is that they're going to keep serving you content based on things that you follow or like,
Hmm.
and their whole intention is to keep you on the platform as long as possible, because if they can keep you on the platform longer, that's more ads they can serve you, that's
More
more
ad revenue.
data
Yep.
they can give to their companies, like, hey, we have X amount of users on daily, this is how much time they're on, and this is how many ads we serve them per day.
Mm.
So
Yep.
you have to schedule your time with social media. Don't just let it be a free time thing, because, like I said, it's just going to take up all your time. And
And if you block a certain amount of time, you actually get more done in that
yeah.
time because you're dedicated to it.
And lastly, this goes with all social media, not just any one in particular, but understand that comparison is the thief of joy. If you go on
Mm.
social media and you have to remember, people are only going to post about their best lives,
Yeah. Yes.
especially about Instagram. People are going to post about the pictures where they went on vacation and they got the best picture, or on Twitter, they're going to talk about this, that, and the other, Facebook, etc., etc. The main thing with social media is that people post their best lives, hoping that they
Mhm.
can get followers to engage in that lifestyle that they've made for themselves. They're not going to post about the 100+ hours they have to work per week in order to afford that lifestyle. They're not going to
Mhm.
talk about the marital stress that they have in the background, because they're trying to show off this perfect life, but their spouse hates it because they just want to have attention for themselves when your spouse is just doing everything on social media.
Right.
We don't see the behind the scenes stuff, and then we start to gain this perception of that's how my life should be, and then we look at everything that we're doing and realize that it doesn't meet up to that unrealistic standard that someone else has been promoting. So comparison
Yeah.
is a thief of joy.
And that's a great point. Essentially, you're seeing a highlight reel of someone's life. You don't see everything that was like when you go to a concert, they're playing like a performance. You don't see the hours and hours and hours of practice and determination and everything that went into that one show that you're watching.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, you start to think, well, why is my life not like that? Why do I have it? So why do I have to work 40 hours a week? Um, yeah, that's a great point.
All right. So now we're going to get into streaming. Um, so you started streaming. What I know it was before the pandemic.
Hmm.
So when did you start your streaming career, so to speak?
This is my goldfish memory trying to kick in. At some point in time, and I would have to say 2018.
Okay.
Um, yeah, actually, well, okay. So content creation started a little bit earlier. Me and my two younger brothers decided to start up a YouTube channel. We called it Half Past Gaming, which is the HPG at the end of my name. We decided just to play some games, record them, and at the time, I wanted to work on editing. I wanted to kind of take our videos and edit them and everything like that. If you go to our YouTube channel, we have a few videos up, but eventually we stopped doing it. Um, my youngest brother Zane actually started streaming before me, and I remember thinking to myself, "That's actually that could be a lot of fun. I'd like to try it." But oddly enough, one of my biggest hurdles was how old I am. You see a bunch of streamers and they're all like in their 20s, or they're all, I want to say,
Yeah.
young kids. So I thought to myself, who's going to want to see a 40-year-old man streaming anything? they're not going to relate to me. They're not going to, whatever. I had all these doubts that just crept into my mind. I mean, eventually I just decided to just jump in and do it. I remember this is going to be a long story. I'm sorry, but
It's fine.
I watched. It was a motivational video, and the guy said one thing that actually kicked my ass into getting started. He said, if you had started when you wanted to start, you'd be already doing the thing by now. Like a year will go by, 2 years will go by, and you're still not doing the thing. But if you'd started when you started or wanted to start, you'd be at the point where you're already doing it. You're really good at it, and you're having fun. So I'm like, yeah, why the hell don't I just get started? Like,
That was the same quote that I heard for the podcast when I wanted to bring it back this year.
mhm. And it just sort of like it motivated me because I'm like, yeah, all right. If I don't start today, a year from now, I'm gonna look back and think to myself, I'm in the same spot I was a year ago. So why don't I just start now? And a year from now, I can look back and go, even if it didn't go anywhere, I can either go, at least I tried, or wow, this is a lot of fun. I'm glad I started a year ago. This is great. Um, so I eventually just jumped in, started up. Zane taught me the ropes of OBS, which I was incredibly intimidated with because I was not the most savvy in that program. And he probably got really pissed off at me because I'm like, wait, how do we do this again? Wait, I have to create a scene and add things to that scene? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Um, but it's a learning process from the start. And I I'm so glad I started because it's probably one of the best decisions I made in my life, and I end up looking forward to it. When I start the week, I'm like, all right, I got work, but I stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, so that's something to look forward to.
It's like a reward.
Yeah, exactly.
So my streaming started right in 2020. So towards the end of February, I got all this stuff to build my PC. I built my PC, and then I started streaming for two things. One, I wanted the justification to be able to play games more than I already was, and two, I wanted to try and build a community. We were watching a couple of other streamers at the time, and we really liked the community that they built for themselves. And I wanted to try and replicate that for myself. I wanted a community of people that would want to come and watch me. And over time, I don't think I was very successful. Some people say, well, if it wasn't for you, I would have met so-and-so and so-and-so. And so I started to not look forward to it, mostly because I'm an introvert. I don't like, if I don't have to talk, I don't. I drive in a truck all day. All I do is listen to podcasts, or I'll find some like a lore video on YouTube, and I'll just put an earbud in, and that's all I listen to. The only interaction I have is with customers. It's literally like less than 5 minutes, and then I'm back on the road again. So like, if I don't have to talk to people, I don't. So I also use streaming as a way to try and be a little more extroverted, to be more open, to talk. I also do character voices, so I started to gradually put those into my streams. And excuse me. And so I thought I wasn't very successful. My wife begs to differ, because she's probably going to say, well, if it wasn't for the podcast, you wouldn't have, if it wasn't for streaming, you wouldn't have the podcast.
Yep.
And then, there's good things that are coming with the podcast. So while you were looking forward to it, I was dreading it because it was very outside of my norm. The OBS thing, that's easy. Like, I'm a graphic designer. I can figure out the overlays. I can figure out what all I want. I try and make sure I have like a really cool background going on in the back, at least. That way, if people just don't want to look at me, they can look at the stuff that's in the back and see what all I like. So while you were looking forward to it, I was dreading it. And so eventually I started becoming less and less frequent when it came to streams. We did hit affiliate in June or July. I can't remember exactly when.
Right.
And I thought, okay, this is where things start ramping up. And then my imposter syndrome kicked in. I started having really bad burnout.
Mhm.
And let's see, what else? No, this is also where the doubts really started creeping in. And then I was also dealing with stuff with my previous job, the toxic
Right,
relationship
right.
with there, and so like everything compounded on itself. And I just like, all right, I'm done. Like I did like 1 or 2 streams here or there. I did a stream earlier, I think towards the end of last year in November. I did that cage lock with YI Otter. But
Mhm. Yep.
I didn't have a cam. I think it was me just talking, but then I added a PNG tuber to it just so people had someone to look at. But like
Right.
they weren't successful. Like I was already off the beaten path. So I mean, it is what it is. There's a lot of genuine relationships that came with it, but for me, it wasn't the outlet that was right for me.
Right, right. Yeah, and that's a funny thing. You mentioned being like an introvert. At at heart, I'm pretty much an introvert. I don't like if I go like food shopping or whatever. I keep my eyes down. I don't want to risk running to anyone I know or talk to anyone. God forbid I make eye contact with someone. They say hello.
But mind you,
Um,
Hangry's in sales.
and I was about to say that. Now I do this, and my main job is in sales. So a lot, I I have to make connections, and I have to talk to people, and I have to, you know, schmooze and all that stuff. And it's such an opposite of what I am in actual
Wait,
like
what was that
real
again?
life. What?
What was that again?
But the shoulders with the schmooze.
Oh, I thought you were gonna do like the tango thing. It's just bring on the smolder.
Bring on the schmolder. Um, so it's like a completely opposite person that I am, and it's not to say that like at you know family events or like hanging out with friends, I'm just kind of like, but it's like I don't communication and starting small talk with like a stranger terrifies me. So like
Yeah,
the fact that I do this or that I work in sales, I'm like, how how am I doing this? I don't know. Um, but yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from as far as um like kind of there are some days when I end work and I go to make dinner, I got to clean up after dinner, and it's like a streaming night, and I'm like, kind of want to just like lay on the couch and fall asleep watching Breaking Bad for the 444th time. But that's when you kind of like, I gotta push through this. I gotta push through this. I know once I get started, because that's the hardest part, just getting the motivation to get your ass up and get going. But once I get started, I'm gonna have a great time. I'm gonna get through it, and I always do. As soon as I hit go live, I usually have the music going on in the background. I'm kind of like boosting myself up and everything like that. Um, Once I start going and I start talking to everybody and we're having a good time, I'm like, oh, I'm glad I did this and didn't just bail out, because once you start doing that, that becomes a trend. I
yeah,
I feel in my own personal view. If I miss a day, the second day I might feel the same way and go, oh well, I already missed a day. Maybe I'll just take today off too, or maybe I'll call it a week and start fresh next week. That's kind of what I did with the gym, and I never went back.
yeah,
So for me personally, yeah, there are some days where you got to kind of just push yourself, and I don't want to say that if you don't like doing it to force yourself to do it, but me personally, um, I know getting started is the hardest part for me, but once I'm doing it, I'm like, all right, this is great. This is great. I love this.
yeah.
So,
I think I don't know. It's so weird because like for me with streaming, I just had such a hard time with it. I let the numbers affect my attitude. Like I would, you know, if we're in a lull moment, I might
mhm,
glance over and see how many viewers I have, and then when I don't have a number that I thought I would have, then
Yeah,
like
see?
the whole attitude just changes. But the flip side of that is like, because now we're doing the YouTube thing, and I'm just enjoying the ride. It's like watching certain, like, yeah, the numbers aren't like mega YouTube stars or even just people that I already have in my circles that are getting much higher numbers. But for me, like, the YouTube channel is performing better than any stream I ever did.
That's great.
And so like I'm finding a lot more freedom that comes with that. Like, instead of having to constantly do content every day per week, I can bulk record. So I have Cal's episode, which will be the next episode. I have this episode. So like that's already 2 weeks already booked out for me that I'm not having to stress about having the content. Now, starting next week, I will have to be like, all right, we need to bulk record a little bit more, so I have a little bit more stuff in the tank. But it's good that I have people like, all right, just let me know when to be on. I'm sure if I ask Margie, he'll have no problem with being on. I also have an episode with Deke planned. We just got to figure out a day to do that. So like, I have people that want to be on. It's just a matter of getting them filled in. But then I have that content that I can then take my time a little bit with the edit. Might spend an extra day just making sure the thumbnail looks right for me. I keep it simple, but like what people don't understand is like, if I don't have a particular pose with our characters, I redraw everything. So like your chibi currently is like sitting down dreaming of peace, love, and bacon. But then this particular episode, I'll probably have you in a different pose, which means I have to redraw the whole thing.
Will it be the schmooze pose?
It just might. Or have you seen the movie Accepted?
I have not.
Justin Long and Jonah Hill, where they create their own college.
Was that when he was in a hot dog suit?
Yes, ask me about my wiener.
Ask me about my wiener.
Yeah,
I've never seen the movie, but I quote that line all the time.
I had an idea of having your chippy wearing a bacon suit.
Yeah. And it's funny because Darcy's always like, you can't quote that. You never saw the movie. I'm like, I don't care. It's funny.
I saw the trailer and it was in the trailer.
Exactly.
But like the whole YouTube thing has just been more freeing with me because one, it's the numbers are more tangible for me because I can just go to YouTube, I can go to the studio, and I can see how a particular episode is doing. I can see the average duration. I can see where everything drops off. So like right now, I've made a goal. The first 50 episodes of the podcast is focusing strictly on consistency. I do not want to miss a single week. If I have to come out with an episode, just me by myself, I will do it, but I would prefer the one-on-ones. Now, short form content, I'll probably start doing more with just me, just where I have like a particular topic where I talk about something. There's a couple TikToks that I want to actually break down and do a short form video for. But like I can go in, I can see the exact details, and then I can start to, after the first 50 episodes, then I can start hammering in, figuring out how to increase that watch time duration, how to increase the retention rate, how to increase the click through and everything like that. But for this year, that all I'm doing is testing consistency. And it's just been it's been so freeing versus doing the Twitch thing where like you get the summary after everything. It tells you if you're an affiliate or partner, it tells you how much money you made there in that stream, your max viewers, your average viewers, and then your stream duration. And those emails really started to affect my mental health because it made it feel like that I wasn't good enough. Now, mind you, Twitch discovery rate is dog shit. If you are not if you are not in the top 10% of a particular game, you are not going to get seen. The only thing that people that that are below that 10%, the only thing that they might have viewers for is because one, they built up consistency, two, they built up a following, Or three, I don't know, question mark, question mark, question mark, set for profit.
For profit. Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah.
the
And that might be a huge difference between, streamers that are full-time versus part-time. I know I rarely look at those uh, emails that show you how many people, were watching, and I don't even have the viewer count on my Twitch stream. I never know. Um, but I do know, like, when I rate out, it shows you like how many people are there.
yeah,
And I do see, trends like we play Overwatch. It's becoming like a Monday thing. We play Overwatch together. And I think Overwatch is in like the top 10 most streamed games on Twitch.
yeah,
So I usually have the lowest amount of viewers watching Overwatch when I play Overwatch.
hmm
But it doesn't matter to me because I had a good time. I had a great time.
yeah.
To
Especially when you
me,
have a
that's
queue of people that are interacting with you on the
yeah,
stream versus just you reading text.
right, exactly. So like, I might stream out playing Overwatch and it shows like rating with one viewer, and I'm like, eh, you know,
I mean, that's one more viewer
um,
the person's going to have.
yeah, exactly. But I had a good time. I'm going over, to someone else's channel, to say hi and hang out in their channel. Usually, I stop streaming around 2 or 3 in the morning. I'm half asleep, but the fact of the matter is, if I have one person in their channel, it's like, oh hey, hang out in this person's channel, and
Yeah.
they're awesome. And tell them I said hi and everything, but I'm going to sleep.
Yeah. Well, and
um,
you also do a very good job of vetting the people that you stream into. I know some people have like they just pick somebody that's playing the same game that they're playing. They don't
mhm,
vet them, and then all of a sudden you come into the stream and if your stream doesn't have any cursing at all, but
mhm,
they this person raids out into a stream where it's like f this, f that, f this.
yeah,
But you do a really good job of making sure you vet the people that you go into, whether you've had a prior interaction with them, you're part of the same stream team, which I believe you're
yeah.
the guild heroes, correct?
Guild Heroes,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
also in that stream team, but as you can see, I don't stream anymore. I
Yeah.
thought I was going to when
Eh,
I put the application in. I thought I was going to.
yeah.
I thought I was going to focus more on D&D content. Who knows? Um, I don't know when this is going to happen, but I do plan on having a secondary channel called We Forge on Gaming, where
Okay.
we're going to be doing some D&D shenanigans there.
Dude, that would be awesome.
I do plan on doing that. I don't know what's going to happen yet. So if you want to see something like that, definitely tell me in the comments that you want to see it so that I can, light that fire under my ass so I can get it going. Um, I won't say I have graphics already for it, but I do have a couple ideas for graphics for it. Um,
Nice.
so like you do a really good job of vetting the people that you stream to. And
Yeah.
I especially like that because if I accidentally have your stream up because I'm in lurk mode doing other things, I'm not bombarded with, all the things that aren't present in your stream when you raid into somebody else.
And I ran into a couple problems when I first started streaming. The whole rating thing. Because at the time I didn't really have much of a community, so I was trying to get my name out there. And yeah, like you said, you can raid a different channel, and there's a couple things you have to worry about. Like you said, the vibe doesn't match the vibe you're looking for. Um, I generally keep things around PG-13 ish. It's not to say that the occasional f bomb doesn't get flown out, or but
Are
I
you
mean, if
kidding
you
me? This guy right here is a saint. It
I'm
literally took
not
us like 3 episodes of the audio only podcast to actually get you to cuss. I even
um,
had a shirt design set up where it was like all the things that are with your channel, and like I put in little tiny curse words in there, and your pig character has a magnifying glass. Um, yeah, no, this
well,
Hangry does not curse. Now, mind you, he'd probably done a little bit more. He'll probably do like a damn it, but that's about it.
uh, you didn't see my Dark Souls deathless run. I'll just leave it at that. I think a few of the curses came out, but anyway, like I said, if you raid into a channel that doesn't match your vibe, to me it causes issues because anyone who likes my community, everyone who likes kind of the vibe of the channel might be dropped into this other channel and just, no, I don't like this at all, and then just leave. And it doesn't, help the other person much at all.
Yeah.
And they might think, well, why on earth did you send this there?
Yeah.
Two, I kind of struggled with the idea of raiding. Um, do I raid larger channels? I personally like to keep it around the same numbers that I have. If I usually average around like 5, 10 viewers, whatever, I might raid a channel that is around there. Unless I really know the channel. I know a couple times I raid people that might have like 30 or 40 viewers, but I know the vibe matches. But I find that rating into a channel that has like 600, 700, 1,000 viewers, whatever, it just gets lost. I want my community to go into another channel and have the same amount of enjoyment
Yeah.
that they had in my channel. So if they're not going to be able to chat, if their chat's going to be overlooked, I don't feel like that's a great enjoyment on their end. So I try and keep it around the same number around me, unless I said like they're vetted on my end and I know that the streamer is really attentive to chat and they're gonna have a good time there. And that's kind of what I struggled on early on. I know there was one time I raided into a larger channel, and one of the people in chat said, "Oh wow, you raided with 3 people. Why did you bother?" And I was like, "All right, everyone in my chat, you're free to leave this guy's channel right now. I'm leaving." um, I
Yeah.
don't that kind of negativity. Yeah, I don't know. I don't agree with it because I know whenever I'm rated, if it's one person, 2 people, 500 people, it means the same to me that you saw something in my channel that you wanted to bring your community, no matter how big or how small, you wanted to bring them over and share them with my community.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, I think of as far as like my viewing on Twitch, I do like it that like, I'm just on the regular home screen and I'm about to find someone that I'm viewing. I do like that they changed it where you can change how all your followers, like people that you follow, are listed on the side. So like I've noticed that a stream that I've been in multiple times will appear more at the top versus the bottom of the list. So like when you go live, you're towards the top of the list. Margie
Right.
goes live, same thing. But the suggested panel has also been better too. I found 5 people just in the last month on the suggested that I really matched the vibe with. Gluten-free waifu is one.
That's a great name.
Yeah, it's so good, but like I love her channel. It's RPG related. I came in on a
Yeah.
Pokemon stream, but like her community is just so tight knit, and she was very supportive, and she was asking questions about like what people are doing, and I mentioned the podcast, and she's like, "That's awesome," and she allowed me to link it and everything.
That's
But
great.
like,
That's great.
but it's really cool to find these communities and these vibes when I'm not a current streamer. Like I'm able to keep coming to the platform for different reasons other than me seeing how my channel's doing. And I do think it's funny. Sometimes I'll go into my analytics just because I'm curious, and they'll say your top 5 used emotes, and to see that a couple of my emotes are still being used. Because I have a couple of them set for bit rewards, and so if someone hits that bit reward, they get to keep that emote for free. Like it's permanent tied to their deal. And so to see a couple of my bit emotes still being used by people
floating around
is really cool. But yeah, streaming for me was hard, but the transition to YouTube has been easier because I can be more hands off with it.
Yeah.
I could bulk record, edit, schedule ahead of time. And then when the episode comes out, then I could freak out about numbers. Like you can ask my wife, if a video gets higher than 10 plus views, I'm like running to her, showing her the video, how it's performing. And then like our last episode hit 40 views, and it came out Friday. Today is Saturday when we're recording this. And
Yeah.
that's nuts for me because, you know, one of your episodes, it took almost a week to get to that amount. And so it's
Yeah.
so cool to see like consistency build on itself, and each episode's performing better than the last. And that's really been
Right.
helping. And, you know, we're getting more comments and people are liking what's going on. And it's just really
That's
cool. And I'm finding a lot of
yeah, that's
success
great.
with that.
And yeah, I mean, you have to find your niche. If you're streaming on Twitch and you don't like Twitch, try YouTube. It's a completely different experience. Like you said, it's more hands off, and you enjoy it more. So I mean, don't feel that if you want to be a content creator, you must stream on Twitch.
Yeah.
It's not written in stone. Find your niche.
Well, I just think with content creation as a whole, like you just need to find your niche, and there's going to be a platform that will accept you. If you don't have the time to do, you know, long form content for YouTube, TikTok is also a good place. Now, mind you, if you want to
Yeah,
make money, TikTok is not the place because everyone is bitching about that creator fund. But
yeah,
it's a good place to get your content out there. You know,
yeah.
if you're trying
And
to,
that. Oh, sorry.
like TikTok has been vital for me when it comes to like certain ideas and how I want to do videos. I have a whole list in my on my iPad of just ideas I want to do for YouTube, and I probably would have never have come up with those ideas if I didn't have content that could be served to me within 30 a minute to 3 minute long videos.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's all part of any platform that you're on, whether it's Twitch, YouTube, whatever. Networking plays a huge part. I mean, you're not going to get discovered if you're kind of doing your own content in a fishbowl. I mean, you develop a community. You need to reach out, and you need to form those relationships. I mean, uh, most of them you want to have them form organically, but I mean, you have to. One of my goals this year is to start on TikTok. It just I for some reason I just find it intimidating, and I don't think I have. Um, I don't want to say. I'll just put it there. I don't know what I would put on TikTok. I know. I know. Faithfully says, "Well, why don't you just do like recipes or quick cooking things?" Or, and I'm like, "Okay, I can do that, but how?" like,
What is
so
that?
it's one of
What
those
is that
things.
coffee brand that you are constantly retweeting about?
Bones, yeah, Bones Coffee.
How many like different flavors of their coffee do you already have?
I'm running low. I probably have like two right now, two or
Okay,
three.
so I'm gonna keep this in the video, but for your to start with your short term content, what I would recommend doing is, because a big thing for you is coffee,
Mhm.
review coffee. Use a different mug for every video. Post like show like the coffee you're going to review, maybe show like a little bit of b-roll of you brewing that coffee in the cup, in the coffee maker.
Mhm.
Do a shot of you pouring it into your cup of the day. And I don't know, you can even, if you find that particular cup online, you can create a link tree to that particular cup. Maybe find a way to do like an affiliate link for that cup or that coffee brand. Review coffee. Eventually, over time, if you review a particular company, they're going
Mhm.
to start to see it, especially if people start, like if they already have a TikTok, they can start tagging that
Yeah.
particular brand and they can get you some more coffee and promote you. But I think for you, if you don't want to do the recipe stuff right away, you can easily do the coffee review. Talk about like this particular coffee, for me, tastes better if you add this, and this.
Yeah.
Or if you just prefer it black, and you can have like a rating scale just tailored to you.
Mhm.
We can come up with a graphic of like this is 4 hams out of 5, or this is 4 slabs of bacon out of 5.
Four hands.
But
That's actually not a bad idea, and that's That's like I said, one of the things I've never really started on TikTok. TikTok. I always want to say Tic Tac, Tic Tap. It
the,
never comes out right the first time, but
the clock app.
yeah, that thing. Yeah, but that's a fantastic idea, and funny inside story that was about 3 weeks ago. I actually recorded footage of a food review of me trying Taco Bell buffalo wings. It's still sitting on my hard drive. I still have to edit it.
Yeah.
It's just, ugh.
I will say that when it comes to short form content, you would be surprised the amount of people that will like your content because you tailor to a particular niche.
Mm,
I mean, like, okay, so tea talk is people that make tea, but it's also people that will like post receipts on
yeah.
like different situations that are out there. Like you can create your own niche coffee talk. You know, it could be about reviewing coffee, but it could also be, I don't know, maybe as you're brewing the coffee, you can find an inspirational quote and read it while like the B-roll is you brewing the coffee and pouring into your mug, but you could do voiceover of you reading an inspirational quote for the day.
I like it. I might take that as a I might pin that down somewhere.
I mean, you're more than welcome to have this snippet. If I need to cut the snippet and export it and just send it directly to you, so you have it, then I have no problem doing that. I will say future soaring, cut that part, send it directly to Hangry.
You're making future soaring
I
very, very
can,
busy.
yeah. Well, you know, like I always say, why do today when I could just pin it on future soaring?
Is there?
But it's funny. I can come up with ideas for other people, but when it comes for stuff for myself or like the podcast as a whole, I'm like, duh.
See, I don't see that.
Now, if it comes with merch ideas, I do pretty good with that.
Yeah, yeah, I'll second that. Yep.
But so content creation as a whole is a very tricky subject to tap around because everyone comes at it from a different point of view. You have the 20 something year old chads that come in and they think it has to be this way. You have the cozy streamers that come in with a completely different viewpoint on how it is. You know, they just want to create a vibe. The chads just want to get kills and dubs on whatever game that they're playing. I think the thing that people need to understand is that there's a niche for everybody. It's a matter about finding it. And when we go to Twitter, Instagram, all this stuff, and we see how everyone else is doing it, and it's not how we're doing it, that's when we start comparing. That's when we start to creep in that negative talk space.
Yeah. And you're going to get, I'm a big fan of constructive criticism. If someone wants to come to me with like, I watched your stream. I didn't quite agree with this, and here's why. I appreciate it so much, but it's up to you to, yeah, you know what? You're right. I think I'm for the future. I will not do that, or well, it's something I like doing, so I appreciate your feedback, but I'm gonna keep going at it. Um, you're gonna get a lot of advice. You're gonna get a lot of, but ultimately, it's your show. Uh, you want to create the vibe that you want to create. Me personally, I just a casual, just chill out, come by, hang out, screw around with us. That's about it. I'm not competitive. I'm not, just over the top, um, super competitive or anything like that. But everyone, like you said, everyone has their own vibe, and you just genuinely gravitate to what you want to see on this platform.
Yeah. So if I were to give some tips when it comes to whether it be streaming or content creation as a whole, I would say one, don't pay attention to the numbers. Because the first thing that you do, if you start paying attention to the numbers, that's all your focus is going to be on.
Right.
Second, I don't know, do stuff that you like. If I wasn't doing the podcast and I still wanted to create content, I don't know, I'd probably find a way to do art or do like, putting together Gundam models or, this, that, or the other. Find the stuff that you like. Don't just do it because the trends are, this game just came out. You got to chase the views. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
If you go after a game that just came out, guess what? You're going to competing with everybody else.
Everybody thinking the same exact thing. And
so sometimes I find that some of my friends that are more successful in this endeavor is that they avoid the game that just came out. They stick to either one, the game that they were currently already playing, or B, they just find a more obscure game that maybe in the same genre, but not necessarily the same. Like there was one guy, the new Fire Emblem game just came out.
Okay, yeah.
So like everyone else is playing the new Fire Emblem game. Well, you know what he did? He found a way to play the very first Fire Emblem game.
There you go.
And he was playing that, and I think he had like 65 people in his stream, versus if he would have just did the normal thing, he probably had like 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of games out there that have a pretty dedicated fan base. There might not be a lot of streamers playing them, but if you were to pick them up and you're, say, one of 15, 20 streamers, the likelihood of you getting people stopping by to see, oh, this guy's playing this game. What are they like? How are they playing the game? How is it different? I streamed Satisfactory for a while, and one day I was just looking for something to watch on Twitch, and I found someone who was maybe at, I don't know, 5 viewers playing Satisfactory. So I decided to hop in and check them out. It was their first playthrough, so I'm like, well, let's see how they're doing. This should be fun. And I'm still in his community to this day. This was maybe about 3 months ago.
That's awesome.
I had such a good time in his community the first time I checked him out, that I came by the next day, and there was just a genuine friendship, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
That I liked being in his community, and you never know who you're going to pick up. But yeah, like I said, stream what you like. You never know who is going to check you out.
Yeah. I will say, yes, stream what you like, but if you have a genuine passion for a particular game, like, people want to see passion. People don't want to see you just playing the game just to play the game.
Right.
Like, there's streamers out there that play Pokemon, but like, they're super freaking knowledgeable about the game. That, they're saying, well, if I do this move, then the AI is going to perform this way, and they're like super intellectual when it comes to their plays. They're like top level when it comes to their playthrough, and there's communities that just love that. They gush over that kind of content because essentially someone is taking this game that people consider is for babies, and he's bringing a whole new level to it.
Yeah.
Like Pokemon Challenges did the Emerald Kaizo, and that's like one of the hardest games as far as Nuzlocke are concerned, because there's so, like, the AI for the game is just so high level, and not everyone can perform at that level. I know he's had news articles written about him because it took 151 attempts for him to do it. And that community is just insane. And it also helps that, like, if people come into his chat and like they're bad mouthing him, he has no problem bad mouthing them back. He says, have you had news articles written about you because you're playing a game? No, then shut the fuck up.
Yeah, there you go. And
so, like, people want to see passion. People don't want to just see you just going through the motions. Next tip would be, don't focus on the money. Guess what? When you start off as when you start off as a streamer, guess what? You don't get any monetization. You have to meet the requirements for affiliate. And then another step is partner. And guess what? Even if you hit those 2 requirements, you aren't going to make a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
Not unless you're like the top echelon.
I was
And
about to say, like you said, if you're in the top 10%, then you start seeing money. And usually at that point, you're doing it full time anyway.
yeah,
Um, but if you're getting into this for the money, stop, manage your expectations, because it's not going to be like that for a while unless you get incredibly lucky.
yeah. Much like in video games, there is RNG involved with this. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you don't
Yeah,
just
I've
become
read.
Ludwig just because can, replicate mogul money or any of the other things that he does. Just because you can replicate what he does doesn't mean you're going to be on the same level that he
Right.
is.
Yeah. And I actually looked up real quick before we came online that um, last year, at the end of last year, 7.3 million active streamers on Twitch.
Yeah.
7.3 million.
Which is a lot
So if you
compared
think,
to 2020.
yeah.
Well,
Oh yeah, no, that's I think last year it was down from like 9
yeah,
million
because
something
people
or
started
other.
working again.
Yeah, but even so, if you're just starting and you think you're going to be the next big thing, I mean, it's great to have that dream and motivation that you're going to rise through the ranks, you're going to be the next big star. That's fantastic. You have that motivation if it's what's keeping you going, but you have to have realistic expectations, that you are one of many fish in the ocean. Um, so if you don't, if you go in and you want to be the next big thing, and you're streaming for a month or two, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, whatever, and you're not, within the top 10%, um, that's where the realistic goals come in. You can't expect to just go in and rise to the top, and that could either, they can either think to themselves, "Oh well, I suck. I didn't. I'm not famous. I don't have the $1 million deals and things like that." Or, I mean, if you go in and like, well, you know what? I hit my goal of having 15 followers. I'm happy.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I mean, people have made careers on it. People have done very well. They're very successful. But the likelihood of someone coming in off the street and hitting it big within their first month or two of streaming, I mean, it sounds harsh, but I mean, you're competing against 7 million people.
Yeah. Well, and it's not to say that money can't be made. It's just we need to
Right.
have realistic expectations of what could happen versus what can and is happening.
Mhm.
If you're in it to make money, guess what? Twitch should not be in the top of your list.
Right.
If you want to make money on Twitch, you got to find a way to make content elsewhere to bring people to Twitch.
Right.
Create that revolving door, and you're just gonna you can't just sit there and play a video game. You're gonna have to have a pad of paper next to you, and you're gonna have to say, all right, clip this moment at this time.
Mhm.
Find ways to make short form content out of your long form streaming. There's many ways to do it. I recommend watching Harris Heller. He has a lot of videos, just talking about this, boosting
Yeah.
the level of your content. And doesn't take a whole lot of effort. You just got to put in the work. And too many
Yeah.
people don't want to put in the work. They just want to sit and play video games and make money.
Yeah, and thinking the money will just come into them. Like, well, I'm on Twitch, so where's my paycheck?
Yeah.
And like I said, it might seem kind of a downer if you're watching this video, like hoping to get the pro tips and how to make millions. It's going to be a downer, but it takes work. Like anything else that's going to make you money, it does take work. It takes dedication. It takes a lot of consistency.
Yeah.
But if you're having fun along the way, if you are doing something you're passionate about, that will resonate. You might not get millions of viewers. You might get 10, you might get 50, you might get a few hundred. But if you are having a good time doing it, then keep doing it, please, by all means.
But the reason why we are sounding like a downer is mostly because we don't want to see the, people get burnout and not make the
Right.
content, or people, get super bummed out that they're not performing to this high level that it starts to degrade at their mental health, and then it ultimately leads to them making the worst decision they could ever make, and them not being part of the world at all.
Right.
Thankfully, I
And
don't know anyone personally that's done that, but like I've heard in other communities where people have done that. You know, one of them comes to mind is Etika. Like he just couldn't handle it anymore. He was Joy-Con boys for life, but like he couldn't handle it anymore. Like the stress of everything got to him, and ultimately he made the decision to end himself, and that's tragic. Like,
and if it's getting to you at that level, the best thing you can do is definitely step away. Um, uh, Work on your mental health, work on yourself. This will I for the foreseeable future, this will be here. And I'm sure if you have a community that cares about you, if you tell them you're going to take a break for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, however long you need, they will understand 100%.
Well, but to put an extra point to that, if you are coming to the point where like things are getting to that point where you have to step away, the best thing you could do for your community is to be vocal about it, versus just dropping off the face of the earth and people are assuming the worst.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, unfortunately, that's happened to one of our friends where they just completely dropped off, and not everyone got to, you know, have that closure that, you know, hey, you know, all it would take is a message saying, hey, things are, you know, this, and this. I got to step away. You know, it's not because of you guys, because things are going on in my life. I need to step away, and then just leave it at that. But you have to understand when it's time to step away.
Yeah. It goes back to what we were talking about when we first started, that your community, they're your friends. The people that care about you, you care about them. If you were to equate that to real life, it would be like you just up and disappearing and not letting anyone know. Your family will get worried, your friends will get worried. Um, so yeah, you want to treat them like, who they are, your friends. So a quick I said, hey guys, this is really, I'm going through some stuff. Gonna take a break, and it, have we've always been saying throughout this entire podcast, you got to express yourself. If something's getting you down, don't feel bad talking about it. Just sometimes just getting it out, having people talk back, and discussing it. Uh, that could, for some people, be all you need. Um, but if you need something more than that, take some time for yourself. If you need like professional help, that's something. Don't feel bad about seeking that out. Like I said, that's been our mission here. Work on your communication, work on how you're feeling, and things like that.
The one thing
I'm getting a knock, by the way.
That's fine. The one thing that I stress to everyone is that asking for help is the greatest form of strength that you can show.
Okay.
I'm
kidding.
Yeah, we'll wrap up here real soon.
Okay.
But asking for help is the greatest form of strength that anyone can show. It is not a form of weakness. And for too long, men have been shown that asking for help is a form of weakness. And I'm here to tell you, Hanger's here to tell you, everyone in the podcast is here to tell you that is complete bullshit.
Yep.
If you need help, ask for it. And if people are saying, well, that just makes you weak. Well, guess what? Clearly, they have been shown improper ways of showing help. And unfortunately, it's going to take time, but that's the main thing with the podcast, is just gradually starting to break down those stereotypes.
And everyone deals with things differently. There might be, some people that handles issues like that better than others. That feels that they don't need to ask for help, and that's fine if they can work out internally. Situations like that, but not everyone's like that.
Yeah.
And if you need it, reach out.
But I think this is a great time to put a pin in it, and we'll definitely come to this conversation later on.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot more that we can unpack here, but this is just a brief look at both our streaming and content creation and some of the successes and missteps that come with it. Future Soaring, we're going to make this into 2 episodes because we're at
Future Soaring,
an hour 35. And so
I actually didn't realize we were going for so long.
So I'm going to cut this part out real quick, but we're definitely going to make this into 2 episodes. So
okay.
Thank you everyone that was here. If you liked it, leave a like. If you're not subscribed, definitely hit that subscribe button and click the bell for notifications, because this episode will come out on Friday. Well, every episode comes out on Friday, but I try to make that consistent so that hopefully you can make this into your weekly routine. I'm super appreciative of everyone that comes here. I'm super appreciative of all the likes, all the comments, because any criticism we get for this just means that we have that going into the next episode and the next episode. So like, subscribe. Yep. Like, subscribe. If you listen to this on a podcast platform, leave a rating, 1 through 5, doesn't matter, whatever you feel that we deserve, and let us know in the comment, like, what can we do to improve. And if you're watching this on YouTube, obviously you can see our faces. So, but we're super appreciative of everyone that's here. And just remember, when life gets you, when life gets you down, stand tall, and we forge on. And I'm going to add one more thing to this. We forge on together, never alone. Have a great week.